Good afternoon and welcome to the March 2026 regular meeting of the Calgary Police Commission. I call this meeting to order and ask that everyone ensure your microphones are muted until you need to speak. My name is Amtul Siddiqui and I'm Chair of the Commission. I'm joined today by Commissioners Kelly Ogle, Susan Mallon, Sheree Nyson-Jordan, Sam Hope, Ayo Adidaran, Aaron Noga, Marcia Hansen, Robert Tenge, Joseph Fernandez, Councillor Jennifer Wyness, and Councillor Dan McLean. Today's Calgary Police Service representatives are led by Chief Katie McClellan. On her behalf, Executive Officer Jessica, would you please introduce those you expect to speak during today's meeting?
Of course, thanks, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Present with us in the room, we have Chief Katie McClellan, Deputy Chief Matt Baker, Deputy Chief Cliff O'Brien, Deputy Chief Corey Daly, Chief Strategy Officer Catherine Murphy, Chief People Officer Nadine Wagner, myself as the Executive Officer, Executive Director Michael Nunn, Senior Financial Officer Sabina Lokank, Business Strategist Selena Clausen. Online will be Inspector Rob Davidson, PAMRU Representative Jay Hearn, Manager Amory Hamilton Henry, Business Strategist Amanda Davis. We have Executive Director James Allen with us in the room. Online will be Acting Inspector Steve Dowler. Manager Rebecca Davison is present with us today. Business Strategist Carrie Rack is online. We have a special guest who is Superintendent Raj Mander from the Surrey Police Service joining us today for his CACP mentorship program, as he has been all week, and so we welcome his presence with us. And lastly, Staff Sergeant Roland Stewart, our Executive Resource Officer. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you all for being here. For those not familiar with our role, our commission is made up of 2 city councillors and 10 community members, 3 of which are appointed by the Government of Alberta. We provide independent governance and oversight of the Calgary Police Service on behalf of all Calgarians. To protect the political neutrality of the police, Alberta's Police Act requires that the police chief report directly to us instead of elected officials. We provide direction to the police through the chief. We set policing priorities and plans. We ensure the service is properly resourced, and we oversee Calgary's policing budget. Today is one of 8 regular meetings we have each year to openly discuss police governance and oversight matters with the service's executive leadership team and to hear from the public. We also have private weekly commission meetings where commissioners work more directly with the service on various matters that cannot be discussed publicly. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that today our commission is meeting on the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, made up of the Sissiga, Kainai, and Piikani nations. It's also home to the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Iahe Nakota people of the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney First Nations. These are people who made a treaty with the Crown, forming Treaty 7 territory. Calgary is also homeland to the Otipisiwak Métis government of the Métis Nation within Alberta. Our commission is committed to doing our part to support reconciliation with all Indigenous people, condemns racism and prejudice in all forms, and is committed to being anti-racist. As we start our meeting, allow me to provide a brief overview of the format for those joining us for the first time. The public session of this meeting is being live streamed, and a recording will be posted online for those unable to attend. There will be several presentations from the Calgary Police Service, commission members, and commission staff. Commissioners will have a chance to ask questions or make comments after each one. Once we have completed the presentations, we will move to the public participation portion of the meeting. Those who have registered to speak will be called upon by name to either ask their question or present on a topic for our consideration. Please note that we do not take live questions during this meeting. Anyone interested in speaking, presenting, asking a question, or submitting written comments for our consideration must do so ahead of time. If you missed this month's deadlines, we'd love to hear from you at our next public meeting. You can visit our website, calgarypolicecommission.ca, for more information. Following public participation, we will close the public portion of today's meeting with the chief and I taking questions from the media. Everyone is welcome to observe the media availability, but only media professionals will be permitted to participate. For media professionals, an important reminder: we ask that you provide your full name, identify your media outlet, and raise your hand to indicate that you have a question. Please take a moment right now to update your name on Zoom to make sure that this is included in there. To start our meeting, I will ask for the agenda to be approved. Does any member of the commission wish to request an amendment to the agenda? Yes, Commissioner Nyson-Jordan.
We'd like to move the agenda item 22-2025 crime report to the public session under agenda item 14 of the public agenda, please.
Fantastic. Could I get someone to second, please? Thank you, Commissioner Tenge. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Can I please get someone to move and second to approve the agenda as amended? Commissioner Mallon and Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Great, thank you. I will now call for declarations of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest from the commissioners. To open my chair's report, I want to begin by recognizing the many March celebrations and observances that speak directly to the values of inclusion, respect, and service that guide our commission's work. Throughout the month, Canadians recognized Irish Heritage Month and Francophone Month, celebrating the histories, languages, and cultures that continue to shape our city and country. March also marked Women's History Month, culminating in International Women's Day, a time to acknowledge the leadership, contribution, and lived experiences of women, including the women who serve, lead, and support policing, governance, and public safety in Calgary. March further invited reflection on dignity and human rights. Zero Discrimination Day, the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, and the International Day to Combat Islamophobia underscored the shared responsibility that we have to confront bias, hate, and exclusion in all its forms. March is also rich with cultural and faith observances celebrated by many Calgarians, including Holi, Eid, Nowruz, Navratri, and Palm Sunday. Recognizing these celebrations affirm our commitment to the understanding that diverse communities that make our city. As we enter spring, our commission remains committed to advancing public trust, accountability, and meaningful engagement across all communities we serve. This month, our commission hosted our third annual policing summit, where we brought together leaders from the community, local businesses, not-for-profits, city officials, and the government to share their perspectives on policing in Calgary. The day was filled with open conversations, networking, and public engagement, and the opportunity to strengthen trust amongst attendees. Also this month, our commission visited a local school to learn firsthand how the Integrated School Support Program is creating meaningful impact for children and families. We also attended the Ethnic Festival's Black Gold Ball, the Justice System Ramadan Dinner, one-on-one meetings with members of the community, and events hosted by the service, including the latest recruit class graduation ceremony. Coming up in today's meeting, you're going to hear how 40% of this year's shootings are already linked to extortion. That Calgary is the leading edge of drug enforcement, having become the first agency in Western Canada to assign a drug-specific online investigator, and that tickets for distracted driving jumped 45% in just 1 month. Last but not least, I want to draw attention to a very important announcement. On behalf of the Calgary Police Commission, I am pleased to announce that Chief Katie McClellan will continue serving as Chief of the Calgary Police Service through to mid-2028. This decision, reflects the deep trust and confidence our commission has in her leadership. Over the past year, Chief McClellan has led with steadiness, care, and integrity through a demanding and complex period for policing in Calgary. She has shown heart and humility and has earned the respect and confidence of the people she serves every day. We have consistently heard from members in the community that her leadership has made a meaningful difference, not only in direction and decision-making, but how people feel heard, respected, and supported. As a commission, we spent a great deal of time listening, reflecting, and considering what the service needs most right now. With significant budget decisions ahead, continued recruitment and training pressures, and the need to focus on workforce wellness, we believe that trusted, stable leadership is critical. Maintaining continuity will allow the organization to stay focused, connected, and moving in the right direction. Chief McClellan will continue to report to our commission under established governance and performance processes. Congratulations, Chief. I also want to acknowledge and thank the service's executive leadership team for the work that you've done over the past year. And I want to thank all Calgary Police Service members for the professionalism and resilience that they've shown as well. The stability and progress we've seen over the past year are not the result of one single leader, but the collective strength of this service. Your work, your commitment, and your integrity are seen, they are valued, and they make a difference for this city every day. With that, I close my chair's report. Can I please get a motion to accept this report for information? Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Tenge, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. We will now move on to presentations from the Calgary Police Service, beginning with comments from Chief Katie McCullen. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Chair. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to start by thanking each of you for your support, trust, and confidence, and to share how sincerely grateful I am to remain as Chief until 2028. For more than 35 years, I've been so proud to be part of the Calgary Police Services family. I will continue to represent all members to the absolute best of my ability. I have been truly privileged, and I am honored to be afforded this incredible opportunity. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my family and so many of my colleagues and friends who have been with me every step of the way. Their encouragement and support means the world to me, and I could not have done this without them. Every month I speak about different issues. I want to begin today's remarks by addressing an issue that weighs heavily on our service and one that should concern every Calgarian: the alarming number of child abuse cases currently under investigation. These files are among the most complex, traumatic, and resource-intensive that we handle. Each case represents not just a criminal act, but a profound breach of trust and safety for our most vulnerable citizens. The toll these investigations take is significant. It impacts our officers, our civilian specialists, our support teams, and of course the families who rely on us for justice and for protection. The emotional weight of these cases is real, and it is carried quietly but relentlessly by the people who work them. In this case, that's 15 detectives who are currently assigned to the Child Abuse Unit, with 9 spots currently vacant. Alongside our partners at Luna Child and Youth Advocacy Centre, those detectives are assigned on average 45 files a month. That's 45 of our youngest and most vulnerable being victimized each month. This is indefensible. Recently, we saw a stark example of this during a patrol response to a collision where a car had crashed into a house. Not only was the driver over the legal limit, but he also had a 4-year-old child in the back seat. This kind of incident is a painful reminder that child endangerment does not happen only behind closed doors. It is happening in our streets, in our communities, and in moments of recklessness that could easily have turned tragic. It's also happening online. Our internet child exploitation team tackles this issue every day. Nearly 700 files have already come into this team. That's just for Southern Alberta, and we're not even in April yet. In addition to these deeply concerning trends, we're also seeing the growing impact of human trafficking in our city, an issue that is often hidden in plain sight. Human trafficking is not confined to major urban centres elsewhere. It is happening right here in Calgary, affecting both adults and youth who are coerced, exploited, and stripped of their safety and dignity. Our counter-exploitation team continues to uncover cases where vulnerable individuals are being manipulated through violence, addiction, financial control, and online recruitment. These investigations are complex, dangerous, and urgently require the specialized resources necessary to identify victims early, support them safely, and hold traffickers accountable. This is not just a policing issue. This is a human rights issue, and one that demands sustained investment and collaboration across our entire community. Acting Deputy Chief Baker will provide a few more examples in his upcoming remarks. In addition to the child abuse staffing challenges, as well as our frontline, which you often hear me speak about, other areas are also facing significant shortages. Here are a few of those stats. We've got 13 detectives in homicide. We should have 19. We have 9 detectives in the sexual assault investigation unit. We should have 15. We have 10 in the domestic violence team. We should have 20. These gaps reduce our ability to be proactive, to intervene early, and to give complex investigations like child abuse and sexual offences the attention they require. You've also heard me speak about our civilian shortages. They provide the analytical, technical, administrative, and specialized support that keeps frontline policing functioning. When we lack civilian capacity, we pull sworn officers away from the street to fill those gaps, which only adds to more strain to frontline response. Growing our civilian workforce is essential if we want to ensure that our officers can remain focused on policing. We are doing everything that we can to support the well-being of our members because the work they're doing, especially in areas like major crimes, traffic, and patrol, does take a toll. Our wellness programs, peer support networks, psychological services, and resiliency initiatives are absolutely vital. But these programs must be paired with adequate staff so that our people are not required to more than is sustainable. This brings me to our upcoming budget request. It is without question a significant ask, and I want to be very clear about why that's necessary. Calgary is growing. The complexity of crime is increasing. The demands on police services are higher than ever. We cannot keep pace with this reality using yesterday's resources. The budget we are requesting is not about expansion for the sake of expansion. It is about ensuring that we can police this city safely and responsibly. It's about giving our child abuse investigators the support they need. It's about ensuring patrol has enough officers to respond quickly and efficiently. It's about strengthening our homicide and traffic units, investing in youth programs that prevent harm before it happens, and rebuilding our civilian workforce so frontline officers can stay focused on the job they were trained to do. Ultimately, this is about protecting Calgarians, especially the most vulnerable amongst us, and ensuring that our officers and civilian staff have the support required to do their jobs safely and sustainably. Tell your kids, or if you yourself see something, say something. 911, 211, 1234. Commissioners, I appreciate your continued leadership and partnership. The decisions made in the months ahead will have a profound impact on the safety and well-being of this city. I look forward to working together to ensure we meet the moment and provide Calgary with the policing service it needs and deserves. Thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Cliff O'Brien for the next presentation.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chair. Good afternoon. I'll start with a brief overview of our traffic safety before touching on some of the broader crime and violent trends that we've seen over the last month. Unfortunately, since the last time we were here there have been 6 additional fatal traffic collisions in the city, bringing our year-to-date total to 8 fatalities, including 3 pedestrians. Thanks. Sorry. At this time last year, to put that in perspective, we had 4 fatalities. So without sounding like a broken record, I need to stress again that this trend is something that we do not want to see continue, and we need to reverse that. Among these fatalities, we are seeing for this year, we're seeing 2 common themes: inattention and speed. Our members are consistently leading investigations into incidents where people in our city are not driving with care or attention or situational awareness, and which is what is required to safely operate a motor vehicle. We're seeing unsafe or excessive speeds contributing to half of the traffic fatalities already this year. Driving is a privilege, not a right, and using our streets is a shared responsibility. We're heading into April, and many of our enforcement efforts are going to target dangerous driving, including speeding on our roads. At the beginning of the month, our own members driving a marked police vehicle, driving through an intersection on a green light, were struck by an inattentive, distracted driver who ran a red light. We are very, very lucky that they weren't more seriously injured. In addition to fatal collisions, our members are encountering extremely dangerous driving behavior that significantly elevates risk to the public and in some cases is linked to criminal activity, not just driving. In an incident earlier this month, and you may remember this from the news, a vehicle displaying a simple lost license plate fled when they saw a police vehicle even before the police initiated a traffic stop. The helicopter hawk was able to surveil the vehicle as the vehicle traveled on major roadways in our city and through residential areas at speeds exceeding 170 kilometers an hour. During the incident, the driver and the passenger switched places, and the second driver continued driving incredibly ridiculous, driving into oncoming traffic, driving on medians, driving through red lights, and into an active construction zone where there were workers present. The incident finally ended when the vehicle lost control on Deerfoot Trail, struck multiple vehicles, and again, we're just very, very fortunate there were no serious injuries. The three suspects fled on foot, but were located and arrested shortly after, and the 3 youths were serious habitual offenders. While this particular incident was connected to a criminal investigation, obviously, the safety message we want to underscore is broader. Dangerous driving on our roads, especially extreme speed, red light violations, careless driving, creates a serious risk for motorists, for pedestrians, and others in our community that are just going about their day. And just shift gears a bit and talk about some of the crime trends, because the same pattern of escalation and risk is showing up in our day-to-day policing environment. In our monthly crime trend reports, you'll see that violent crime is up. In February, it's increased, partially because of attacks on security personnel and youth crime, including some Facebook marketplace robberies for cell phones, swarmings, that kind of thing. But these numbers, they don't fully capture the change that we're seeing operationally. Incidents are more volatile. They tend to escalate faster, and violence is often directed to first responders, including law enforcement. In one incident at a busy intersection, one of our police officers attempted to move an individual along who was panhandling in the roadway. The officer was suddenly attacked while attempting to issue a ticket to this individual, which prompted an emergency call for assistance by the police officer. The officer was thankfully not seriously injured, but was exposed to bodily fluids. And, when I think about incidents like this, which seem pretty routine, pretty low risk, can carry unexpected health and safety risks for our members and happen very quickly. In another case where one of our members responded to a report of an unauthorized person in a residential common area, again, what would be considered a fairly routine call, the individual resisted arrest and engaged in a fight with the officer. This officer also called for an emergency assistance, and additional members arrived and the suspect was taken into custody. The responding police officer thankfully only had minor injuries, but this is another example of what would be considered a routine call escalating to violence and requiring that additional support. We're seeing similar risk faced by other emergency responders as well, especially on health-related calls. In one call involving a youth in crisis, a paramedic was assaulted prior to our member's arrival, leading to an emergency response by police. As the situation unfolded, it became very evident that this was a complex mental health call involving self-harm risk, requiring police, paramedics, and hospital staff to work together to care for 2 youths that were in crisis. These kinds of incidents don't just affect first responders, but also their families. They also reflect, I think, the broader risks we see in community safety, and we are seeing these trends impact our members and the public. And I don't bring these up or highlight these incidents to cause fear amongst the public or to make people uncomfortable, but I am sharing them to stress the operational reality our police officers and partners are facing. Greater volatility, faster escalation, and more violence, especially directed at those that are there to help people. In situations like the ones that I've talked about, where additional resources are needed to be called in to address the violence, it is clear to our leadership team that meeting today's challenges requires collaboration from our non-sworn and sworn members and sustained effort across various agencies. We will continue to work with our partners to manage these public safety risks and complex situations. But I would just finish by saying throughout all of these incidents, our police members continue to show professionalism, restraint, and compassion, and we're all incredibly proud of them. Thanks.
Chair, should I just continue on and ask questions? Thank you. Acting Deputy Chief Matt Baker.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'll start with March is Fraud Prevention Month. I want to begin by acknowledging the importance of raising awareness about financial crime, an evolving issue that continues to grow in scale and sophistication. In 2025, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre received over 112,000 reports of fraud, resulting in over $704 million in losses. We also know that fraud is significantly underreported, meaning that the victimization and actual losses are likely much higher. These numbers highlight why putting resources into fraud prevention is so critical. This is not an issue we can solve with investigations and enforcement alone. Fraud investigations are highly complex, often involving international offenders, anonymous platforms, and cross-border operations. In many cases, offenders are located in other jurisdictions, making arrest and prosecution extremely difficult. These files are incredibly resource intensive, which is why the most meaningful impact we can have is by preventing these crimes before they happen. Public awareness and early reporting remain our best tools to protect Calgarians. Over the past month, we've worked collaboratively with the crime prevention team and strategic communications section to help Calgarians identify, avoid, and report fraud, including artificial intelligence scams, investment scams, online fraud, mass marketing scams, and romance scams. In addition, our financial crimes investigation unit continues to support prevention by delivering presentations to Calgary businesses and organizations on emerging trends, cyber-enabled fraud, and practical steps organizations can take to shield themselves and their customers from financial harm. While I'm highlighting this work during Fraud Prevention Month, these presentations are prioritized year-round, in addition to other efforts by our Financial Crimes Investigation Unit to evolve how our service responds to fraud. I'm also going to highlight some of the work of our Child Abuse Unit, as the Chief has mentioned. The Child Abuse Unit continues to handle some of the most complex, emotionally challenging investigations within the service. These investigations often involve vulnerable victims, historic offences, and situations that require significant time, sensitivity, and multi-agency coordination. Resourcing a unit like the Child Abuse Unit is always difficult, but despite the pressures, the team continues to deliver exceptional work. I will briefly highlight 3 recent investigations to show the impact our Child Abuse Unit makes. In one case, investigators responded to a report of a sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl at a park in Calgary by a 21-year-old man. During their interaction, the man had attempted to add the victim on social media. This provided our investigators with critical evidence that helped identify the offender. Following a 6-month investigation, the man has now been charged with sexual assault and sexual interference with a minor. In a second example, patrol officers were initially called to a residence for reports of historical sexual assault allegations involving 4 victims who were all minors. The victims reported that they had been sexually abused over a period of 5 years by a family member. This family member had recently been released from jail and was a convicted sex offender. The file was assigned to our Child Abuse Unit, and after a month-long investigation, the offender was charged with 21 offences. In the last example, a father and stepmother were charged following the brutal and senseless abuse of their 8-year-old son. This is horrific. Over a period of 2.5 years, the child was subjected to physical abuse, starvation, and torture. This file continues to go through the court process, and despite several years having passed since charges were laid, the details continue to have a massive impact on each and every member who worked the file. These examples illustrate the complexity of the files the Child Abuse Unit takes on, ranging from real-time response to historical disclosures and long-term judicial processes. As you know, our partnership with the Luna Child and Youth Advocacy Centre continues to play a vital role in our response to these incidents and in supporting victims through their police interactions, medical care, forensic services, and long-term recovery. Despite the emotional toll and the resourcing challenges, excuse me, the dedication of our Child Abuse Unit is indeed unwavering. Their work is meticulous, trauma-informed, and driven by their commitment to protect children. Lastly, I'd like to provide an update on the ongoing extortion series affecting South Asians in Calgary. These investigations remain a top priority for the service. While Alert continues their investigation, CPS has now stood up 2 additional operations: Operation Orion and Operation Outage. These operations are running in parallel to ensure we are responding effectively to the ongoing threats to public safety. To date, 40 extortions connected to this series have been reported. This includes 17 shootings. These numbers reflect an evolving and coordinated public safety threat, and we're using every available tool to address the issue. This includes targeted enforcement, suppression efforts, intelligence sharing, and increased investigations. This also includes 45 referrals to the CBSA, which has already resulted in several removal orders for suspects who are believed to be operating in Calgary. While stopping the threat to Calgarians remains our top priority, we are also continuing to pursue criminal charges to hold the offenders involved accountable. I will highlight a couple of steps to finish. And so far this year, we have reported 25 shootings compared to 9 by this point last year. This increase is indeed being driven by the shootings connected to the ongoing extortion series. And as I say, so far this year, 9 have been linked to the extortion series. And just for your awareness, if the extortion series is excluded, we are currently sitting at 16 shootings, which is 16% below the 5-year average of 19 occurrences. And no change to our homicide stats reported at last month's meeting. We remain at 2 homicides compared to 5 by this time last year. Both of those homicides have already been cleared by charge. Thank you for your attention and continued support.
Thank you, Deputy Baker. And Chair, we'll finish quickly with the Deputy Chief Corey Daly.
I acknowledge the clock. Thanks, Commission. As you guys have heard tonight from the other deputies here and the chief, immense amount of work, impactful work to the city and to the officers who are delivering that. Even hearing it tonight, I just got to share, like I've heard this many times, it's super impactful for us that are actually doing the job too. So I appreciate everything that the members, both sworn and civilian, are doing. As you heard tonight, Deputy O'Brien mentioned, over the last several months, we've continued to see incredibly troubling trends in youth violence, including the rapid rise in our role jobs, the group-based assaults, and youth victimization. It's incredibly concerning to us, and addressing this trend, this violent crime youth trend, remains a priority for our service. As many of you know, and some of the public who may not yet know, this is a priority that we're driving forward in 2026 with our partners. In February, we hosted a youth crime and safety workshop with over 37 partner organizations throughout the city to share what we're seeing, what we're collectively understand, and the potential drivers behind this youth violence, and to identify new ways to strengthen that collaboration. The kind of collective work is essential to address the issue from all angles of the work, as we all have different responsibilities within the sector. We expect to report on not just the gaps, but the opportunities that we can continue to pursue, what's working and what isn't, within the next few weeks. And then we'll be able to share that back here with the commission and the public. Our school resource officers have been extremely active. We continue to see this play out in the news, the concerns in our schools and the violence that are trending across the country, the unsafe spaces that they can become. In the last reporting period alone, since we last met here at Commission, our SROs have responded to over 200 calls from the schools, supporting 32 dispatch transfers from patrol and handling more than 140 investigations. They've also responded to multiple school lockdowns due to external threats, which we've seen in the news. One of the most significant recent incidents was the series of written threats at a local Calgary high school. The school had notified us immediately, and we deployed a coordinated multi-unit response with the SRO's district patrol involving cybercrimes, our behavioral sciences, and even our homicide special video analysis unit. Our presence helped stabilize the school environment, reassuring both students, staff, the public, and our members, and ensured safety while the investigation continues. And make no mistake, it is very actively under investigation, and it will continue to we bring it to fruition. These incidents reflect a broader trend of increased aggression and behavioral concerns in our schools. Our SROs continue to work closely with school boards, and we are seeing growing requests for support of our behavioral sciences unit and our PAC teams as youth mental health related calls continue to increase. As the school environment becomes increasingly complex, we know we need more CPS members who are committed to working with youth and prepared to take on the specialized training required to perform as an SRO. This week, we're actually hosting a training course, first of its kind here in the province, including some of our law enforcement partners, to ensure the strength and continuity of this invaluable program, not only locally, but across the province, and to pass on the knowledge and experience that make it so effective. The RCMP, Edmonton, Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, and other partners are in attendance for a week-long training. This includes everything from theoretical training to actually training such as use of force, breach and hold, and how to clear schools appropriately, and to do that with multiple agency response. As you may have seen in the 2025 crime report, we're also seeing, unfortunately, a rise in hate-motivated incidents and crimes in Calgary. In 2025, hate-motivated crime has risen in Calgary in step on the national and, unfortunately, global trends. So the CPS has responded to 151 hate-motivated crimes. 30% of those are targeting race or ethnicity, 15% sexual orientation, and 15% newcomers, and 12% religion. This includes 9 incidents involving Jewish individuals or locations and 7 involving our Muslim communities. These increases reflect a broader geopolitical tensions following international events beginning in late 2023, and now more so than ever, as we all know, anything that plays out around the world plays out on the streets of Calgary, given our diverse population. Even with the rise in reporting, we know that hate incidents and crimes are way underreported. To strengthen reporting and awareness and our frontline response, the CPS is refreshing and relaunching the Report Hate campaign externally on social media. This will include expanding the campaign to include information about online radicalization targeting our youth. The campaign also includes internal training videos, expanded education for our membership, ongoing training for recruits and patrol, as well as presentations to our Calgary Transit partners. These efforts, combined with updated national reporting standards, have contributed to more accurate identification and reporting of hate-motivated incidents across the city. Our hate crimes prevention team continues to lead both education and investigative work, helping communities understand what constitutes a hate crime and ensuring that reports are taken seriously and investigated thoroughly. We need to continue to build that trust within our communities. Recent international events have heightened emotions here at home, and we've seen those tensions surface in community spaces and public events across our city. Our diversity resource team has been engaged with affected communities, maintaining open communication and providing reassurance. They're working very closely with Deputy O'Brien's teams in major events, emergency management section, and with other partners across the service and across our city to ensure demonstrations, gatherings remain safe for everyone. Whether it's addressing the rise of youth violence, ensuring school safety, investigating hate-motivated crimes, and working with global events, or working through our global events, our focus remains consistent on protecting Calgarians and supporting our partners, and our members continue to respond in doing so with professionalism, compassion, and collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. We know that was a lot, but we had a lot to share this time.
Thanks, Chief. That's no problem at all. We're happy to hear it. Thanks to both Deputy Chiefs and the Acting Deputy Chief for that report. Acting Deputy Chief Baker, I hope you will please pass on our thanks to your Child Abuse Unit. what they see is atrocious on a daily basis. And those 3 stories were heartbreaking. And I know that those 3 are just a fraction of what these folks see every day. So thank you to you and your teams for that. Going to questions to commissioners. Commissioner Mallon, please.
Thank you. This is for everybody probably, but probably for you, Deputy Baker. And it's related to child abuse. And it just seems like modern society has not made any steps forward in preventing child abuse. So is there anyone working, like, is there anyone like the government, or what are we doing to figure out what we can do about this? Like, responding is one thing, but I mean, there's something wrong with our support system in general, maybe that we're just getting worse at this rather than better.
So thank you for the question. We're very much in a reactive stage. We have been for some time. However, we continue to work closely with our partnering agencies, in particular the CFS, and the Luna Centre does a great job at providing that that collaboration and that interagency platform for us to work from. There is an awareness piece that they certainly speak to, but with the volume of investigations. We had 498 assigned investigations last year, with a team of 24 investigators if fully staffed. We remain in a reactive stage.
Just so, are you aware of any data geeks who are analyzing the data and trying to maybe identify early warning signals or something that gives us something else to do, and maybe not the police to do, but society as a whole? Like, somebody, you've got a lot of data, so somebody should be able to start giving us some advice on going downstream and figuring out what else we can do, right?
I'm aware that the Child and Family Services, they really do complete that role, and they provide that. They provide the majority of our investigations, our files to us, and certainly in the CPS, we're not looking at any particular data to see how we can put prevention plans together.
If I could, and you know this already, but the Calgary Police Service a long time ago started our domestic conflict unit, and the work that goes on there is incredible. But one of the things that I can't imagine how bad it would be if we didn't have that unit, because one of the things that happens is we have mandated that our patrol officers that go out to any type of domestic incident reports that. So puts in a report, and if there's children present, we have questions that we ask. And then sometimes that's followed up. So depending on what's going on in that home. So even before there's violence, and I know you know this already. So sometimes what happens is that is some of the preventive work that goes on. So imagine if we didn't have that unit. Imagine if we weren't doing that type of work.
Just one more thing and I'll leave. It's just directly related. Are you aware if there is any kind of significance about child abuse coming after, say, spousal abuse? Like, is it a continuum that gets worse, or any of that?
I don't know the answer to that. I would only be speaking from experience, and it'd be somewhat anecdotal, to be honest. Just on the back of Deputy O'Brien's comments, I will add that we do have an Alberta Vulnerable Infant Response team and a prenatal outreach support team too, that are there for preventative reasons. And so that is one angle that we look at from the CPS to try and prevent these crimes before they happen.
As the pediatrician in the crowd, I have to comment on this. So from the child abuse perspective, there is a ton of research being done on indicators for prevention or picking up it before it actually occurs. And by and large, we still have the the criteria of the economic status of the family and parenting. So those are two critical things that occur in families, and there is lots and lots of research being done between both the justice system and the health system, as well as social services. So it is being done. I think the reason we're seeing more of it is that it's now people are more aware. We're picking it up sooner. We're dealing with it. We still have a long way to go. So that's my comment. Can I go ahead and ask my question? So this is for Deputy Chief O'Brien. In the report you provided, you had the Commercial Safety Alliance. And we brought this up last meeting, and I understand that there are a variety of things that would pull vehicles off the road. And I'm going to beg for an actual official report, and I will make a motion to that so that we can actually have a report to have a better idea of why 100% of the vehicles that CPS looked at got pulled off the road. Like, that is concerning to me, that if you look at 32 commercial vehicles and they all get pulled off the road for whatever reason, whether it's they've got a broken headlight, I don't know. But I would like to know why, and I would like to have a better understanding of what that Commercial Safety Alliance is. So I will make a motion, so you don't need to respond too much today. Okay, do you want to go ahead and respond?
Yeah, I can give you some background if you want. So, first of all, the alliance is between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, so essentially North America. It's a not-for-profit with police, safety officials, dealing with commercial vehicles. And so it is a certification training. We have 6 members in the Calgary Police Service that are certified. So it's a 2-week training course. There's a practicum component, and then each one of those members has to do, I think it's about 30 or 32 certifications or inspections every year to maintain their certification. These are not random. So what will happen is we will go to an area and we will set up, our members will set up. It's not like every truck gets pulled over. They will look for the vehicles that look like there's problem. And some of them are so obvious. And again, we have experts that are certified in this, but they look so obvious, they pull them over. So I don't want you to think that every single vehicle we pull over, I mean, in this case, that's what happened, but that's because we had experts looking. So but I did ask, and I know last month we talked about if there's patterns. So really the pattern is, for the most part, they tend to be smaller organizations or smaller companies, landscaping companies, or just small transport companies. And so for the most part, they probably don't have a really robust safety program with their companies. As far as what they get taken off the road for, and there's different legislation that our members use, but it's everything from brake system failures, obviously a concern, worn tires, steering mechanism that there's an issue, for vehicles that are transporting, the load is insecure, so it'll be things like that. Just like every other driver on the road, or I shouldn't say every other driver, just like we see with passenger vehicles, we'll have drivers with lack of insurance, expired licenses, things like that. And then also, depending on the vehicle, there's driver logs. And so legislation says you can only drive for so long without a break. And they have to keep a log book. So there's some of those violations. Those tend to be the ones that we see in the city that causes us to take those vehicles out of service. So certainly there's a way, our members could probably give you a way better presentation if you wanted, but if that helps a little bit anyway.
Yeah, it does help, but it doesn't make me feel that much better in terms of the vehicles, the commercial out there. And perhaps it would if there was more kind of randomness to it. But it's concerning to me when you pull them off and there's brake issues. I mean, we don't need another bus accident that kills 16 people. And, you know, this kind of thing, whether it has to be done on a more rigorous fashion with the businesses, if there is some sort of way to do it from an alliance perspective. But I think it needs to be looked at. Maybe that's a national thing that needs to be dealt with. It would be interesting to see whether or not there's anything else that other police services do across the nation that might be helpful in this area.
Yeah, I did get an opportunity to go out and talk to the members that were doing this work, and I actually brought that question to them. They said that they didn't see anything right now that they needed as far as advocacy goes. They are talking across North America to see is there other things that can go on other than more people and more checks. As you know from the reports, we also on occasion will bring in the sheriffs or we'll bring in other agencies so that we'll do a larger check, if you will, of vehicles. And I think we've got that in here as well. So and I would just say this, that if we didn't have those members doing those checks, those vehicles would still be on the road. So I hear what you're saying, but those vehicles would be there if it wasn't for those officers. So that gives me a little bit of comfort.
Thanks. And I just have one more that on the same topic, and Commissioner Ogle isn't on the call at the moment, but somebody has to ask it again. The ATE, we have 6 outstanding applications. We're trying to be within the confines of what the GOA has asked for. Can you give us an update on where those are? It says November. They're still not. Do we know where we are at from getting those approved?
We don't. They're still with the GOA and they're still reviewing them as the last, and that's the only information we have.
So just before I go to Commissioner Mallon, Deputy Chief O'Brien, on those cases then, are you comfortable if commission does a follow-up to the ministry to ask where those are?
Please.
Okay. Okay, happy to do that. So we will do that on our side, some advocacy. Thank you. Commissioner Mallon? Oh, I thought you were next. Sorry. Oh, were you first? Sorry. My apologies. I didn't drink enough caffeine today. So I do actually have 3 questions myself, and it's actually one for each of you, the way it worked out. So I'll start with Deputy Chief O'Brien. You talked about security personnel, and the numbers have increased in terms of attacks. So I'm curious if these are random or are these hate crime based? Because a lot of these security personnel are usually newcomers from different countries. Can you just comment on that?
Yeah, what we've seen certainly in the downtown core where we see a lot of them is unhoused that are being asked to leave. They're trespassing, being asked to move. Or what we've seen is security or loss prevention officers that are going to arrest somebody for what should be a shoplifting. And then it becomes violent. So either somebody decides to pull out a weapon or the subject decides to actually fight with the security or loss prevention officers.
Thank you for that. Acting Deputy Chief Baker, you talked about the report hate campaign that's starting again. Is that out of the report, the hate crimes? Was that? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, I've got my questions mixed up. Okay, I'll go to you, Deputy Chief. The report hate crime information. So it's external as well, right? That campaign?
Yes, all external. Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure you both know my question coming. Will those materials be translated in other languages so that information can be shared? I'm looking at ED Nunn.
Yes, they will be. Yep, 100%.
Okay, great. And I had one more question. I just want to make sure I find it. Oh, I know. I apologize. So it was actually for Deputy Chief Daly as well. You talked about the schools and the amount of files that the schools are seeing. Are there any major themes that are coming out of these like the 200, or is it pretty much spread out?
Yeah, it's pretty spread out. Like no trending themes per se. It's in alignment with our crime stats report. Like it's what we're seeing outside of the schools as well with the groupthink, the assaults, the roll jobs, threats, the bullying complaints, it's pretty broad all over the map on those ones. And lots of them they transcend outside the school. So at the school, they'll be reported within the school, but they'll also trend outside the school and continue on to the after hours between those groups of people or students, and where they want to precipitate their violence or their crimes. So no, I'll bring back a few more accurate stats, but nothing that's been pointed out to us through our youth services section that's a specific trend that we could drill in on, identify. We know that mental health is a driver, significant driver that we're hearing from the schools. We're hearing from YouthLink. That is the primary trend that we're seeing on both sides. Financial status, availability of funds to certain youth is definitely driving those crimes, lack of employment, occupying both time and necessity. In regards to what's driving some of those things, that's what we're hearing from our partners. And so some of those things will come out in the gap analysis and the reports of where we might fill those. We recently met, the name's going to escape me, Chief, but we recently met and we'll be meeting. I think there's a meeting on deck with the government level employment sector. They're going to come in and assist us. They've got some information and funding coming to drive jobs in youth. We saw that on the news last night as well. So we're extremely excited about that, but we'll be meeting directly with them to bring them, we'll be linking them to YouthLink and the Police Youth Foundation. They've asked to be connected to those partners so that we can have some direct lines in with the youth that we're serving through those programs, and kind of take out the middle people, if you will, in some of the systems that some of the youth have to navigate to have gainful employment. And then I also have a bit more of a detailed answer for some statistics you're asking about security and is it race and some of those assaults. If I was answering your first question, I can move on to a couple of those stats if you want. Okay. So, and it was in some of these are in the crime report, but specific, more drilled down into the hate crimes information I was talking about. So the 37% that were motivated by race or ethnicity, these don't speak to just solely an attack on a security guard. But 37% of those 151 is 64 offenses. So 19 of those were targeting individuals of Indian, Pakistani, or broader South Asian backgrounds specifically. 14 were targeting Black individuals and 8 targeting Arab communities. So that would include our West Asian, Middle Eastern, or North African origins. And then 15% of the overall 151 were targeting immigrants and specifically newcomers to Canada. So some of those obviously attacks on security guards would make up in those groups if the evidence was there to suggest that it wasn't pertaining to their role as a security guard, but more to their race while they're doing that. So.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that extra detail. I think similar to what Commissioner Mallon said about child abuse cases and how they're getting worse, I would say the same thing around racial discrimination. You'd think that we would be better now, but we're not. Doesn't seem like it. So thank you. Are there any other questions? Sure, Commissioner Nice-Jordan.
Can you just elaborate on, so we've continued to see property crime go down, at least in the reporting. And I'm just wondering how that correlates with the value of the property that is stolen. And are people not reporting because that might push their insurance costs higher? If they report it, they get a police report, and the insurance then pushes their costs higher. Is there any correlation with that you can tell?
Rebecca, are you able to help out with that one?
There we go. We haven't looked at the correlation. We know property crime is going down, but when you're stealing from a person, that would actually be a violent crime. So we're just seeing people less and less going into break and enters because they're crimes of opportunity. So when people are home, they're not going to do that type of crime. So they're looking for other types of crime. And I think that's why we're seeing increases in fraud that's online, because you have less interaction with the victim essentially. But we're not seeing any dollar value differences.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for these reports? Thank you again to all three of you. And please do pass on our thanks to your teams. We know that they are extremely busy and dealing with really complex issues. So thank you for that. Commissioner Nice and Jordan, did you still want to make your motion around, or you're okay regarding the commercial?
No,
vehicle?
I'm okay with it,
Okay.
with the response that I got from Deputy Chief. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We'll now move on to the presentation from the service on the 2025 crime report. So please go ahead.
Thanks very much, Chair. We're going to turn it over to Chief Strategy Officer Catherine Murphy. Thanks.
Thanks, Chief. I'm going to send it right over to Rebecca Davidson, our Manager of Corporate Data and Analytics.
Thank you very much. I'm just waiting for the PowerPoint to come up. Great. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I never quite got this right. There we go. The Calgary Police Service regularly provides crime reporting to the public in many forums and formats. We provide other crime reporting via our external-facing dashboard and our CPC monthly updates that represent a snapshot in time. Statistics often differ due to late reporting and process, and the way that we count differs in those formats as what is being presented here today. This presentation provides a comprehensive review of trending that mirrors the Statistics Canada counting methodology. I will provide a very high-level overview of key indicators, not all crimes. Am I echoing? Oh, I could have done that. I'm sorry. Okay. The public continues to call. No. The public continues to call the CPS for help. There were 25,000 more calls in 2025 compared to the previous year. This represents, on average, 1,021 public-generated calls per day. Police also generate calls when they are witness to an issue and/or conducting proactive work. Concerted efforts by CPS have resulted in officers proactively focusing on areas such as the downtown, around transit, other crime and disorder hotspots, and this work is evidenced in the data. Online reporting continues to increase. Efficiencies to streamline reporting, particularly for shoplifting, have resulted in almost doubling of online reporting since 2020. Disorder calls for service are comprised of 13 different types of calls. However, 3 calls, unwanted guests, suspicious person, and disturbances account for 80% of all disorder calls. Disorder calls are typically not criminal. Rather, they're more of a nuisance call or when the public witnesses things that make them feel unsafe. We often use disorder as a proxy for perceptions of safety. The disorder volume and rate have decreased since the peak of 2020, and these decreases are due to the focused efforts of police and our partners to divert calls and assist people towards support, such as teams as our Community Enforcement Team, Response Team, CERT. Since 2020, the overall crime volume and rate of violent crime have been trending up. This increase is driven by assaults, which is a subset of violence. 2025 shows an 18% increase in assaults compared to the 5-year average. There are 3 levels of severity of assault, and it is the least severe, that being common assault, that accounts for 2/3 of our assaults. Analysis shows that these incidents in 2025 are increasingly happening between strangers, and as was just mentioned, the trend of loss prevention officers being assaulted when apprehending shoplifters. Domestic-related incidents are a priority for CPS. Calgary has a much broader definition of what is included in a domestic compared to other jurisdictions that focus on intimate partner violence, whereas we include familial relationships. The number of domestic violence victims and the rate have increased since 2022, and incidents where police are called, but the criminal threshold is not met, have also increased. These calls often relate to where an officer is standing by to assist a victim. so a preventative capacity. Analysis and research shows that stressors such as losing a job and financial difficulties can exacerbate an already unstable relationship. The economic instability that we are currently experiencing in Canada and across the world could be one of the drivers of the current increases that we are seeing. As we've mentioned, property crime has been trending down, but in 2025, we saw a 14% increase. This has been driven primarily by theft and frauds that are a subset of property crime. Break-in enters and stolen vehicles, however, are still trending about 20% below the 5-year average. Call and crime trending are critical to understanding and assessing the demands and priorities for CPS. We compare Calgary year over year, but also to other jurisdictions to provide context and insight. This data drives our strategic priorities that are reflected in our APP, such as safety in public spaces, and as was mentioned, the youth strategy. It also helps us identify community partners for prevention and intervention opportunities. And we are committed to data-driven approaches to identify priorities, develop strategies, and assess impacts. Data is also integral to ensuring transparency and accountability for public trust and confidence with Calgarians. And with that, I will take questions. And I hope I'm not echoing now.
No, you're fine. Thanks, Ms. Davidson. Questions, commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Nice-Jordan. It's okay if you go first. It's not a bad thing. Someone has to start.
Thanks, Ms. Davidson. Again, this gets better and better every year. This is more of a comment. I find it significant, and I think this is something that the public really needs to pay attention to, that our call numbers are going up. It's a real reflection of our need for people to respond to those calls. But it's also interesting that our publicly generated calls are actually on the decline, except for a little bit of an increase this year. And I think that's a reflection of that proactive policing that we need to be looking at that actually shows and makes our community safer. So thanks for demonstrating that. That helps us as we move forward with budget discussions.
Excellent, thank you.
Echo that. I always think that we should put a caveat into anything that we're reporting is that people don't report. And so making sure that caveat is out there, that this is the data we have that doesn't necessarily correlate to what's really happening in our communities. And this is another great opportunity to continue to foreshadow the new reporting mechanisms and online mechanisms and the shift to some more evidence-based policing as we're moving forward, and the ability to streamline online reporting is going to have an effect in the future on our data, and constantly preparing the public to know just because we suddenly see a spike in things, that's probably going to represent what it always was, not a sudden increase or failure of policing, but rather a failure of collecting the data, which failure isn't the correct word, but just the inability to do so. So I would really suggest continually putting it out there that this is going to shift as we shift to how we'll accept reporting.
I think that's a great comment, and there's a reason StatsCan calls their year-end report police-reported crime statistics. So that is something definitely to keep in mind. We've also had a discussion with jurisdictions about, well, what crimes do you report online? Because does that explain where you're seeing those increases? So I do think it is definitely going to be a driver of what our crime reporting looks like in the future. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that report. I don't see any other questions or comments. Thank you. That is the end of the reports and presentations for today. We would now normally invite public guests who have registered to speak to do so. However, today we do not have any public speakers. Sure. So before we go to the immediate availability, I think Commissioner Nice-Jordan, you had a comment about the written submissions.
Thank you. I think that from a public perspective, this is an opportunity that is not taken as much as it could be. We do, as a commission, get the written submissions from individuals, and some of those written submissions are incredibly useful for us as providing information of what the community would like. And I would just like to highlight that 2 of the written submissions this term was on, guess what, automated traffic enforcement, and also suggesting enhanced use of some of the different areas around the world that are now using some form of artificial intelligence work that can be combined with policing. So I just wanted to say publicly that it is very useful for people to provide that submission, and I would encourage that type of information to also go forward to the police service. We certainly share the information with them as well. But if people have other suggestions related to that, and indeed, you could also pass them on to the GOA, which may be very helpful to us as we try and get ATE back on the agenda. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Nice-Jordan. Any advocacy would be appreciated. With that, I will thank everyone for joining us today. The public participation session brings us to the end of our agenda, so we will now adjourn the public portion of this month's commission meeting. Thank you to everyone for coming, and I hope you have a great evening. Chief McClellan and I will move to the podium shortly, where we will be available to answer questions from the media. Everyone is welcome to stay and watch our media availability, but only recognized members of the media will be able to participate. For commissioners and members of the service participating in the in-camera portion of our meeting, we'll take a break before continuing. Please keep this room quiet until the media availability is finished. And if you're joining remotely, please remember to join us using the in-camera link. Thank you very much. Sapna, are we off?
For media partners that are online, just a reminder that we will be coming to you shortly with both Chair Siddiqui and Chief McClellan for the media availability. We ask that you identify your name as well as your media outlet, and please put your hand up if you would like to ask a question. We'll be with you in a few moments.
Firstly, just thank you to commission members. It's great to be back in this room. I know it's a different building, but it looks exactly the same compared to when I was here for some very long nights as a commission member myself. Thanks for letting me play a little bit of hooky from our public hearing meeting, but otherwise I'll just be here just very briefly. I wanted to come in person and say congratulations to the commission members as well as Chief McClellan. I wanted to thank as well our 2 city councilors, Councillor McLean and Wyness, who serve as our city council reps. And for us as a city council team, and for me as Calgary's mayor, there's nothing more important to us than promoting and protecting public safety. And that's why since our new council team got started, we've been really profoundly pleased to work alongside the commission members, as well as pleased with the work of the Calgary Police Service under the leadership of Chief McClellan. And under your leadership, Chief, CPS has taken on new initiatives to promote and deliver a safer downtown. Initiatives like Operation Order, which not only address repeat offenders and the issues contributing to disorder in our core, but also respond with the compassion necessary to connect vulnerable individuals with the supports and the services that they need. And that's exactly the kind of leadership that we need in this moment to make our city better. And it's the leadership that we've seen very consistently from our chief. And that's why I'm very pleased to see that you've been blessed with the ability to continue to serve Calgarians in a more permanent basis in your role as the City of Calgary's Chief of Police. And we really look forward, on behalf of our council team, look forward to continuing our strong and collaborative relationship as we work together to prioritize public safety, to strengthen our communities, and to build a better Calgary for everyone. And that's why we're here, because Calgarians have made it very clear that public safety is one of their top priorities. And it's up to all of us to listen, to hear those concerns, and to act, to pursue meaningful long-term solutions that address both crime and the root causes behind it. In other words, we have to be tough on crime and even tougher on the root causes of crime. And I know that together with Chief McClellan, the Calgary Police Service, the Police Commission, yourself, Mtool, the entire city of Calgary, we're going to continue to deliver the kind of city that Calgarians are asking for, a city that is safe, that is compassionate, and focused on doing everything that we can to hold our police service accountable while building a stronger future for every single Calgarian. And that really, in rooms like this and under leadership and the rooms that you continue to show up and inspire, Chief McClellan, that is really Team Calgary. And together we're going to be able to get there to become the safer city that we know that we can be. So again, thank you to all of our representatives from both the city and the province. Thank you to the commission for your work, as well as the staff. Thank you to the Calgary Police Service for all that you do each and every day. And thank you especially to Chief McClellan for your continued service to our city. So again, thank you so much as mayor for allowing me to insert myself. When I heard the news this morning, I was just so excited and I could not help but want to come and be a part of it. So thanks again for the opportunity. I know that there'll be other speakers after me. Unfortunately, I'm not able to stay to answer questions as I do have to get back to our public hearing meeting. So again, just personally on behalf of our city council team and the city of Calgary, congratulations, Chief McClellan.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey. This side. This side. Where do you want me to go?
Come get you in the middle. You're in the middle.
You're running the city.
Oh, yes. Oh, my son.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for popping by.
Great job.
Thank you. We've got some great folks on commission. We've got great folks at the service. So, you know what? It's all good. It's all good.
Enjoy the rest. You still going for another 8 hours for that?
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
At least. Hopefully.
Well, the meetings got shorter after I left.
Well, I don't know about that, Mayor. Yeah. Really good at helping along. So, but it's good. Good. Lots of stuff to discuss.
I think you're up next.
Yes. Together we are. Well, yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks
so much for
for coming. Really much.
Thank you again, Mayor Farkas. We appreciate you stopping by for us. Now we welcome Chair Siddiqui and Chief McClellan to the podium, and they are ready to take your questions. So just a reminder to our media partners, if you've got a question, please make sure you've listed your name and your outlet, and please put your hand up. We are going to start with Karina with CBC. Karina, you can go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for answering my question. I think my questions are for the chief today. Lots of important numbers and topics discussed today, but I want to ask about the domestic violence stats in the crime reports. We're seeing some big increases here, and even non-criminal domestic incidents are up. I'm just wondering if you can give examples of domestic incidents that don't meet the criminal threshold. What does that look like?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, can you hear me?
The question, please.
Yeah, I was just, we're seeing some big increases in domestic violence. Can you hear me okay?
Can you speak just a little closer to the mic if that's at all possible?
Yeah, sorry. Okay. We're seeing some big increases in domestic violence numbers, and even non-criminal domestic incidents are up. Can you just give examples of domestic incidents that don't meet the criminal threshold? What does that look like?
Yeah, thanks very much. It's definitely a concerning stat, and we've had some conversations around that. And, some of that is attributed to, you heard Ms. Rebecca Davidson talk about some of the stats, and some of it, unfortunately, is around just economics. And also, we're a growing city. There's lots of additional people that are coming to the city. So more people are calling us. More people are actually calling us before domestic violence actually happens. But in relation to your particular question, those are on things like standby. So people will call us when they require a standby to go back and pick up their property, or deal with anything that they need to kind of move on from the situation. So that's what that number specifically refers to, is when we go and do the standby before there's actual violence.
Okay, thank you. I also wanted to ask about coercive control. I know there's a big push to pass a bill that would criminalize coercive control. What difference would that make here in Calgary? I guess, what's your stance on that bill?
We're just going to find out who can best answer that question for you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a great one. The bill is working its way through the federal parliament. I believe the CACP and the AACP, as well as the Calgary Police Service, have indicated our strong support for the strengthening of all victims' rights, including around criminalization of coercive control.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karina, for your questions. Next, we'll go to Terry with CTV. Go ahead, Terry.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. This is for the chief. I'm wondering if you can give us any indication into what, I guess, initial complaint was received by the Calgary Police Service in the fall during the municipal election campaign that was then handed off to the RCMP, and now we're seeing some past and current city councilors under investigation.
Yeah, thanks for your question. And so, in order to protect the integrity and confidentiality of the investigation, I'm not able to say much. You did hear that I had received a concern in October of 2025. And to ensure that we had independence and objectivity, I turned that over to the RCMP. And the RCMP are the primary police service that is conducting that investigation.
Okay, are you able to give us any indication though where or who that complaint may have come from?
No, unfortunately, I'm not. Again, the RCMP is the one that has primary carriage of that investigation, so I'm not able to say more than that.
Okay, and I'll just slip in one more quick question, just regarding you staying on till 2028. At that point, is there plans? I guess what are next step plans for the CPS?
Hi, Terry. So yes, we announced that the chief would stay on till mid-2028. As we get closer to her leaving that role at that time, the commission will go into a search and will formalize that process in the next few months.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions, Terry. We're now going to go over to Devin with Post Media. Go ahead, Devin.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. Just wondering, I guess this is a question for both of you. I think you could answer it probably differently. I'm just wondering, what were Chief McClelland's biggest successes, I guess, over the last year, or the challenges that she's kind of made the best headway in overcoming over the last year?
Devin, could you just repeat that question one more time? Just a little louder into your mic if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that a little bit better?
That's great.
Okay, this is a question for both of you because I think you can answer it a little bit each differently. But I'm just wondering, over the last year with Chief McClellan in her role, what were the biggest, I guess, wins or successes that we've seen, and or the biggest challenges that that Chief McClellan has made some headway in overcoming?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We don't have enough time for me to talk about all the great wins and challenges from last year, but again, it's been a team that has just done incredible things in a very short period of time. You know, we came together during G7, there was the Stampede, there was lots of protests, there was lots of different conferences and so forth. I would say that probably my biggest win has been just the engagement with the membership, with my executive leadership team, and the amount of engagement that we have purposefully and specifically engaged, and what we've done to have our members, both civilian and sworn, come to us and share what's going on in this service, what their feedback has been, how we can be a better service. We've spent a lot of time internally doing that. Externally, I've spent as much time with our external partners and continuing to build that so that we can, as we've often said, a lot of the things that we go to as police are not just police. And then, of course, the challenges. One of the biggest challenges we've been talking about is the number of members that we've got off who are accommodated. And although we've got lots of proactive programs in our police service, we still have our members who go off for a variety of reasons. You would have heard some of the information tonight that our members are exposed to very traumatic incidents. And so it's a high number. We're working hard to, to mitigate that. There's a lot of members who are still in the work, who are doing very valuable work that continues to move the service forward. And then, of course, the budget. You've heard me speak lots about the budget. We've got a team that's been put together, and we will be coming forward in November with what some of those challenges are that we've been speaking about over the past year.
Thanks for the question. Beyond what the chief just mentioned, I think for the commission, what we saw was very strong leadership and constant continuity in that over the last year. We also saw the chief really work on building relationships internally, but more importantly, relationships externally. So attending community events, engaging with the public at summits, at other events that took place in the communities across all of our quadrants. And so that was really important for the commission to see that. We also have some very complex public safety needs that are currently happening, and we see a chief that is open to addressing that and working with her leadership team to look at those situations. And so we were quite pleased to see all of that, and we look forward to seeing what she does over the next 2 years as well.
And then just a quick follow-up to that. You touched on this a little bit, Chief McClellan, but going forward over the next 2 years, what will be your biggest priorities?
Yeah, so thanks for that. And so my priorities will continue to remain the same. The biggest focus is going to be on our internal membership and our external partnerships. We've talked about a couple of other things over the last couple of months. Obviously, traffic safety, social disorder, our budget transparency, and continuing to have our service modernization so that we can be a more efficient and effective police service.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the question, Steven. We're going to go back to Karina with CBC. Karina, you can go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking more of my questions. I appreciate it. Chief, just circling back to the RCMP-led investigation, did you receive that complaint or concern personally, or was it passed along to you?
When you mean personally, through the Calgary Police Service is how I received it.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And just one more follow-up about extortion. Nearly 40% of shootings this year have been linked to extortion. That's a pretty significant number. I guess as the chief, how concerning is this to you, and what's your message to the public?
Absolutely very concerning, as you heard tonight, and as you've heard over the last couple of months. That is our number one priority. We have redeployed numerous resources. We have enhanced our intelligence. We are connected to several partners in the province, nationally and internationally. We've been out, we have done town halls. We have actually arrested several suspects. We have interviewed several suspects. And so an absolute concern. These offenders have no regard for public safety, and we are doing our best to arrest and charge them and put them through the proper court process.
Okay, Devin, do you have a follow-up question? No. Okay. This will be last call for questions. Do any other media partners have any questions for either Chair Siddiqui or Chief McClellan? Please put your hands up. I'm seeing no further questions, so thank you both, and thanks to everyone for joining us in person and online, and have a great evening.